17 3/4. 119.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another video. That was an example of just how far I've come, or we have come from me doing my videos. Literally put my meter on the back of my truck, old ass iPhone, just shooting whatever, didn't even know how to edit anything, audio or anything. Now, I've only been doing this now, I think 2 years, making videos and stuff, and it's been a slow progression. I think I've come pretty far. I know a lot of you tell me I have, at least the people who have been with me since the beginning. But long story short, the point of this video is I need your guys' help because I've had a little bit of issue with where I live. In the spring and summer months, it tends to pretty much always be windy. It might not be early in the morning, but once it starts to warm up because of the large temperature swings here, it gets windy. And we pretty much have a predominant, you can just look at this weekly forecast right now. We've got a couple days of 16 mile per hour wind, 5, 7. It's pretty much always at least 5 to 9 though a lot of times when you're out in the open areas, like say where you're going to go shoot at. So that said, I'm constantly battling the wind. So here's an example of just kind of what I'm always up against. Anything under 12 miles per hour is perfectly fine to meter in. But no matter what I do, lots of different mics and stuff. It just kind of depends on my setup day in and day out. I try different things. I'm always kind of battling the wind, but here's kind of what that sounds like. And I'm basically always looking to try to improve my videos. And now that we're in the time of the year where it's going to be more like this, I decided to get a new mic. Most of you on my Patreon already know that because I've already talked about it. But I'm looking for some help on figuring out what settings you guys like best, and if I should just even continue using different shotgun mics and things of that nature, or just deal with the wind as it is. If you didn't already know, I already put up big shields and stuff a lot of times to try to block the wind from the camera. And the cameras, especially any mics, they tend to always amplify the sound of the wind, okay? So even though if you were to be standing there, you would think, oh, this is a lovely day. Camera will tell a completely different story a lot of times, even with what we call a dead cat on there. And these little fuzzy things, that's what we call a dead cat. So it's there to help knock down wind noise. Okay. So anyway, my newest mic, it has a lot of different settings we can choose from. And here's where you guys come in. I've went ahead and I've shot some film that I want to get your guys' opinion on and see what you all think. So what we have here is we've got a few different filters built into the mics. We can of course use software in our editing software to try to clean up our audio, but it's also cool if we can maybe collect audio that is already missing, a lot of that that data in it already. So after doing some research as of late, a bunch of people for outdoor recording and windy locations said, oh, you really got to get this particular mic. So I did. And so far, I've had some issues. And basically what happens is the shot washes out the mic. A gunshot, even a suppressed gunshot, depending on what suppressor we're using and how close the mic is to the muzzle or just the firearm in general, the source of the noise, it can be still pretty intense. So, but before I get ahead of myself here, what are the settings we even have to work with? Well, we have two basic things we can do. I can adjust the dB range. I can either increase it by 20 dBs, or I can subtract 10 dBs, or I can leave it alone, which would just basically be sort of in the middle. I can use one of these frequency filters, okay? And these frequency filters are set up there really to deal with things like wind and background noise. So I have two settings to choose from, 75 and 150. So basically, you have nothing, 75, 150, nothing, -10, +20. 3 times 3, that's 9 potential settings I can use here to try to get good audio. Now, people who are not doing videos, videography with firearms type stuff, they've got it made easy, right? Because they're not trying to film sources of noise that are considered pretty intense. They're just worried about things like wind. And that was the one kind of flaw in my ointment here when I was doing my research is, well, I did not expect to have such an issue with it cleanly catching the gunshots. Obviously, suppressed gunshots are mainly what my focus is, not unsuppressed gunshots. So for me, I'm not so worried about the unsuppressed side. However, we do shoot unsuppressed, at least in my videos as well, to get a baseline unsuppressed and then shoot suppressed to see our reduction levels, and then also to see that week over week consistency unsuppressed. So I've got a bunch of footage basically I want to run you guys through. Hopefully you guys are down to help me out. I know this is going to take time and a little bit of effort, and if you're not, you're not. That's cool. I might just go ahead and put this out to the general public just to get some help from you all. You'll get to kind of see a little bit of what I do in general. But I have a little spreadsheet I've made here. So I'm thinking you guys could maybe just take a screenshot or jot down a piece of paper or something, but it goes like this. We've got our 9 setups, right? So we've got the filter on the left and then the gain on the right. So we can either have none, or one of each or both of each, total of 9 as it is. And then we just have, if I didn't use any type of secondary mics at all, just, what the camera can record on its own. I've got that too. And then I'm going to basically do this. I'm going to shoot 1 round unsuppressed, 2 rounds suppressed, all with my LN. And we'll use 300 blackout, 150 grain supers, and try to find kind of a sweet spot in this. And then whatever that sweet spot is, I'll jump over to 10.5 inch 5.56, shoot it, make sure it's good for that too, because that's going to generally be the most aggressive. And maybe we'll get some help. Now, where you guys come in is 2 things I want to basically note here. I want feedback on which settings had the best unsuppressed result, which I have a feeling will be very easy. But where will be probably a lot harder is which setting did you think had the best suppressed result? My focus is mainly on the suppressed, but of course we want to be able to cleanly hear unsuppressed too, if that is an option. It'll be kind of hard to consistently switch back and forth between settings between the two, so I'm basically looking for the best balance I can. So this is me eliciting your guys' help. I know that, this is going to be very subjective, so I'm kind of hoping that I can get enough of feedback from all of you that I can put it all together in a pot and kind of just look for, who said what the most. So without further ado, let's go ahead and shoot. Testing our new mic. Settings, no gain, no filter. No filter, 20 dB gain. No filter, minus 10 dB. Filter at 150, dB set at negative 10. Negative 10 dB at the 75 filter. .150 passive filter, no gain, so just a regular raw mic. Alright, last combo I want to try before I review everything. We've got the 150 filter on and now a plus 20 dB gain. Just for reference, on the camera it probably doesn't sound windy at all, right? But with my mic right here on my headset, you would think I would be in a hurricane right now. But it's, just a light breeze, nothing crazy at all. Bushes aren't even moving. So we started off there with 300 blackout subs from a prior video. Now that was a 75 on my filter, okay? And then nothing changed there. So you guys obviously watching this video, if you only watch this video, don't know it, but it was washing out on 556, 300 blackout supers, 308, suppressed, not just unsuppressed. And then sometimes it would not. It was very hit or miss. So I already knew basically that I did not need to retest this one. It was definitely no bueno. Now from there, the rest of the footage all shot same day, same conditions, back to back to back to back. 300 blackout super so far. We're going to look at some 556 here too in just a minute. But, here's what I've come up with so far. Subs, at least to me so far, without breaking out the subs footage on its own, look like they were all working, sounding relatively the same. Obviously, if we are on that plus 20 dB setting, things do get dramatically just louder. But that's just changing the volume, just like you can change the volume right now on your computer, more or less. So that said, everything on the unsuppressed side washed out except for this 150 filter and this negative 10. Now, you got most of that gunshot, but it did wash out like the last 10% of that exposure. Why, I don't know. Another thing I did forget to kind of tell you guys is the mic is placed 5 paces to the right of the muzzle. That's where I have it, at least so far. We're probably, once we kind of get this figured out here a little bit more, going to take the mic and move it even further away and see if that changes anything. But for now, I want to at least get a bit of a baseline here, an idea of what settings I needed to use. So hopefully, obviously it looked like the unsuppressed was super easy. Didn't really need your help for that. But I'm really looking like I'm going to need your help here on the suppressed side. If I want to just not even care about the unsuppressed side and just focus on the suppressed side, then at this point, I have no idea which setting to really use. But if I do want to then have the setting pick up, at least as much of the unsuppressed number as I can, or exposure as I can, it's looking like this 150 filter and this 10 dB reduction is the ticket. Will it still work on 556 or 308? I have no idea yet because we haven't shot it. But this is where things stand so far. Now, you'll notice too, I didn't bother with the 75 20 plus. I just went ahead and skipped it because at this point it was pretty clear that any of these 20 pluses were just no good. They were 100% no good across the board. It was just washing things out. So save the ammo, save the time, save your time, save my time, save everyone's time. Was no reason to do that. So at the moment, options are at least appearing to be either this guy here or possibly this guy here, though I'm skeptical that this will continue shooting a bunch of different subs because it did not work out for suppressed shooting here with, again, it could change because of the negative 10 now. We were probably right there on that razor's edge of it working fine across the board on subs, so it could work. And then, of course, another option would be what? Would just be to run no filter at all and maybe the negative 10 possibly, but we would wash out on supers as well. So it's, do I focus, on trying to get something that works on everything, or do I find the best thing that sounds best for you guys on subs? I don't really know. That's going to be part of that whole feedback thing. So that said, where do we stand right this minute? Let's go ahead and shoot this guy here that did do well on 556, and let's see kind of what happens here. Now we're going to step it up from the 300 Blackout Supers to M855 short-barreled 556. And if it can handle this, well, then we know we're golden. And if it can't, I'm going to probably have to then move the mic further away. We're at 5 paces right now, which normally would have been fine, and see if we can get this figured out. Alright, last attempt here, 556 again. The mic is now moved back an additional 4 paces. That's 80% further away than it was. If that doesn't take care of this, well, then it just is what it is. Let's do 300 Blackout Supers real quick and see the difference. Oh, what the fuck? No, I'm just playing. Alright, so what do we got? We've got 556 now. And we managed to catch, and I'm just giving this percentage like just my own personal opinion. You might think it's completely different percentage. Again, this is why I want your feedback. But it sounded like we did manage to catch most of the unsuppressed shot there for 556. Now, then I shot the suppressed side, everything, and that seemed to work too. So, good. I also went ahead and then in post editing refilmed that for you guys, or I should say duplicated that for you guys, and then I added 20% more volume. So hopefully on your end, because of that -10 being added in there, it brought it up to kind of more normalized levels. I just kind of I raised it 10, at least on my side. It didn't seem like very much, so I went to 20. Even at 20, at least for me, it still didn't seem like we were quite all the way up where it should be. So I did it again at 50. Now, of course, once this is downloaded and posted on the internet and everything, a lot of times the audio kind of seems to sound either a little bit more intense or less intense, depending on who's viewing it on what. But so again, feedback needed there on if I do need to, if I am going to run the -10 setting, how much more do I need to then in post edit raise it up? Please, please, please give me the feedback there. And then because we didn't manage to catch, I'm still looking for this 100% unsuppressed with just, without just using the camera mic, which would be awesome. I didn't get it. So I decided, okay, well, what if we move the stupid microphone back further away? So I moved it 80% further back, which is about 9 paces. Okay, just walking 9 paces. And, I mean, that's pretty far away. It'd be the farthest I've ever spaced a camera away. I slightly cocked it off to the side a little bit so that it wasn't, like, completely getting directly the audio wave, or I should say the sound wave, but I think I might have accidentally, inadvertently made it worse because it then sounded pretty good for 556. I thought we caught most of that shot. I could be wrong. But then I decided, okay, great. I thought I had as close to a winner here as we could, but I wanted to then, therefore, still make sure it was working on something less intense, even though in theory you would think it would be, but again, different frequencies and things of that nature. And switching back to 300 Blackout Supers, Well, god darn it, wouldn't you know we washed out and didn't catch the unsuppressed round. However, the suppressed rounds I thought sounded pretty good. So you let me know. Now, I did just go ahead and raise these up 10% too in post edit, so that wouldn't have changed like the washouts or anything. Just raising up that volume a little bit to make up for that negative 10 to see, how it would sound. Again, feedback warranted if you will. Where do I go from here? Honestly, I have no idea. I guess I could always film my unsuppressed stuff with just my regular, with no external mics at all, and then plug it all in and shoot the suppressed data. But basically, if I'm going to do that, well, then I'm really not sure which set of suppressed settings to use. So what I might do right now, and I know I've already taken up a ton of your guys' time, and who knows if any of you even have gotten this far or are going to even, help me out here. But I might go back right now, take all the footage we just did, edit out all of the unsuppressed stuff, and then just string all the suppressed stuff together, and maybe just run it through one more time with me, guys, and maybe being that it'll be suppressed only all back to back to back to back, maybe we'll kind of be able to tell some apart a little bit and see if there's any specific setting that sounds. Again, we're not looking for like what sounds the quietest. We're looking for what sounds the most real. So we're trying to kind of compare it to what? We're trying to compare it to kind of just that normal camera mic setting, probably if anything, or the non-filtered, non-gain setting. So that would be like either this guy or this guy here. Those would kind of be like our baselines for what the suppressed should sound like. Hopefully that makes some sort of sense. I'm not sure if it does or doesn't. As I talk it all out, half the time it doesn't make sense to me either. But I'm just gonna go ahead, throw that footage up real quick, and we'll just call it a video from here. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I appreciate it. Well, I thought I was done, but I guess I'm not. So I ran those twice through for you guys real quick, and I wasn't, listening to it before. I didn't kind of pick out little differences, but when you're listening it back to back to back to back, especially if you repeat it through it a few times, you can start to pick out little differences. And to three things kind of stuck out to me at least. But before I tell them to you, and before hopefully you've even read what I've got on the screen, I don't want it to then change your own personal perception. So hopefully by now you've kind of come to your own conclusions. Don't let my conclusions change what you were thinking before. Okay? We want to see if there's differences. Everyone's ears work differently as well, so that's another big thing. So, but anyway, to me, the camera sounded, looking back memory wise, just, not being right here, right now, at the range, and the same shooting and then going and listening to the footage and shooting and going and listening to the footage. I thought just the regular camera audio sounded to pretty well represent what was going on. Now, I could be completely wrong there. I'm definitely going to probably watch this at the range the next time I go out next weekend to kind of firm up my opinion there. Plus, get feedback from you guys. But so that means I'm trying to see. Okay, when I go and then plug in the external mic, most people would think, okay, especially when we're talking the kind of money we're spending on just this microphone, uh, you would think we'd be getting better audio quality, and we probably are. But there are going to be a few things, like the camera. Even the camera isn't raw data. Okay, um, there's still software doing things and all kinds of stuff happening. All right, I mean that's why we meter things. That is going to tell us more than trying to actually get actual audio files to then go with them. So this is more about just making the video try to represent things as best as possible. But anyway, the external mic definitely had a complete sound change. It sounded completely different, I thought. It kind of, the thing I kind of came up with, at least to me, is maybe it sounded a little bit less natural. Um, Again, like it's being filtered and suppressed a little bit. Probably is, right? Just because it's not got any gain or filter settings just means we're in the normal ones. We just haven't changed to some different ones. So that said, after that, everything else basically sounded like all of these sounded the same to me as this one. The only difference being that the ones with the negative 10 dB, they sounded the same. It just sounded like the volume was turned down a little bit. So then that's why I then redid the footage again. But the second time around, I took just these three, left the other ones all the same, but I boosted it up 20% in post editing. Maybe I should have raised it further, 50%, let's say, like I did before. Uh, at the same time, just because I couldn't tell like that it did change much, if anything, maybe you can on your guys' end. Who freaking knows? That's another reason why we're asking. So, long story short, at the moment, I'm still back to should we even be using external mics at all if we want to best represent the sound data? If it is, in fact, if I go reshoot it and it does sound like the external mic is doing a better job, well, then fantastic. Then I just need to pick a setting that doesn't wash out if I'm shooting something a little hotter, which would then get me right back to what? It would get me right back to this 150 -10 setting, which so far I know to have pretty much worked across the board on anything I've shot. So that's where we're at. Please, 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 please give me that feedback, guys. Whether it's comments on a Facebook post, Patreon, Discord, whatever. I'm looking forward to the feedback. Okay, it could even be in the YouTube comment section. I don't care. I'll take them all. I'll collectively write them all down, and then I'll look at it and go, okay, this is what people are saying. All right, guys. Well, like I said before, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.